Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Module 6.1, Handling Economic Downturns. So when we were talking about economic downturns, we're talking about anything that could affect the way you operate business. We'll talk about what some of those things can be, but my biggest thing I'll always say is plan ahead. Make sure that you are planning for economic downturns and praying that they never happen. When we opened up in the second wave of COVID, and I opened up with everything used, nothing saved. Everything was right there when I opened the door. My biggest advice is to approach everything with a plan. Don't rely on luck. Think about what that could involve. That could involve interest rates going up. That could involve events and certain things happening in the city, like Caravana, for example. It could be even as something as drastic as another pandemic. Nobody could have predicted COVID-19 happening, but when it did happen, we all had to pivot. So along with your plan, have some financial reserves. One of my biggest thing is setting aside savings, especially for economic downturns. Not a savings for taxes, not a savings for just in case. This is a savings for when things get slow. For example, you have to track trends, but we know during the beginning week, the first 8-10 days of our business were typically slower than the middle of the month or the end of the month. And that's just factoring a lot of things. Bill payments, rents, mortgages, all those stuff are typically around the first of the month. So we always see that trend. So we focus in on driving sales through our doors. So that comes with marketing, that comes with promotions, that comes with customer incentives, especially for our loyal patrons. So people who are always coming to us, no matter what the market is saying, those are the people that you want to take care of, especially. We have on Wednesdays, we have Dollar Wing Day, and that is something that we run all the time. That's not a specific customer-driven incentive. But it's a way that we also just say, hey, community, I know sometimes our pricing isn't the lowest, but this is an opportunity for you to still have really good food at a very affordable price. Another way that you can handle a slow period is leveraging influencer partnerships. I remember when we first started out, I had a piece of advice that was given to me that said, oh, don't give away your food for free. Don't give away your stuff for free. We leverage our influencer partnerships. So we very much engage with our market. We would invite influencers to come in and they would take content of the food that we provide for them. That is something that we have leveraged because we have noticed the trade-off for giving a plate versus the return of the customers that will come in because of what this trusted influencer has said. So don't be afraid to leverage influencer partnerships, but make sure this partnership is something that is of value to you and to the influencer. Exploring additional revenue streams. Like, for example, instead of just focusing on directly what you sell, let's talk about outreach programs. Let's talk about subscription services. Let's talk about royalties. There's so many other ways of bringing cash into your company, into your business without having to solely rely on what you sell. It's also important to have additional revenue options because you never know what the market may do and what the market may say. So I'll speak to why it's important to leverage your loyal customers. For example, when we first opened up our restaurant, it took us about 7 months before we could open up. And like I mentioned before, we did open up during the second wave of COVID. So you could already imagine people are off of their jobs. People are relying on government subsidies. People are staying at home. People don't want to stay at home. There was so much going on within our world during that moment in time. And when we opened up our store, we had a lineup around the building. And I think that's amazing to factor in and to think about, considering that everything else that was still going on, people still wanted to show up and show out for it. But we also met a lot of lifetime family that essentially still comes to the restaurant to this day and remembers and sees our growth from April 24th, 2021 up until now. Over the summer, we held a back to school backpack drive, and we were audacious where we said, let's do 100 backpacks. There was a little bit of a feedback. There was a little bit of 100 is kind of a lot. Everybody else is doing 20. Everybody else is doing 30. Maybe we want to put our number down. And I was just like, no, I believe in my community and I believe in everything that we do. Within 2 weeks, we raised enough money and had enough donations for 140 backpacks. And that was then 140 kids that was able to start the school year off with fully loaded backpacks. Some of them got snacks and food. It was a really cool experience. But we could have only done that because we take care of our people. In today's day and age, you could have a thriving business today and tomorrow it's not here anymore. I know personally, I do operate in fear. And I think my fear is actually what allows me to be stronger and drives me to be better because I don't like living in that space. One of our missions is to end generational poverty by allowing access and affordability when it comes to ownership. I would never want anybody that comes after me or through my doors to operate within fear. If you are ever experiencing a slow season or you have to pivot and you're afraid, that's okay. Live in that and allow that to make you better. So with everything that was mentioned before, these are the strategies that enable us to weather economic challenges with agility and a balanced approach to growth and sustainability.